Hello, fellow wanderers. I'm Endri, and thank you for joining me as we wander through some more Sunless Sea. We're going to turn off that lamp, and we are going to head southward. We have a place to go. Hopefully, I will make it there with enough fuel. We're going to be cutting it really close, but we've got lots of extra echoes, so we shouldn't have too much trouble with it. We are going to go to the surface. Yes, you can in fact get to the surface here. It takes a little bit of pre-planning though. Just a little bit. The biggest thing is we want to make sure we have at least 22 fuel and 2 supplies when we hit the next location. And it's just right down here. It is always in the same spot relative to London. Which is to say, it's always in the same spot because the west coast is predetermined. And there will be some other places we would like to visit. Since we have quite a few echoes, it's likely going to be a fairly long lap through the southern side of the game. Just trying to pop a couple of the fragment points here as we get closer by flickering our light off and on. The fuel determinant, whether or not it takes a lot or a little based on whether your light is on, is done every few seconds. So you can kind of, if you stagger it properly, you can stagger your light going on and off, and so you can pop the fragments without wasting too much fuel. And we got here with just enough. So first things first, let's listen for surface gossip. That will give us a vision of the surface. This would be a prime spot for the pub or wine shop, but the interest of the Echo Bazaar and the laws of London prevent it. They don't like competition. Still, there are temporary, half-legal hostelries in long-moored ships. Here you trade stories with suntan surface sailors, stories of Paris and Batavia, the Lost Fires, and the Final Isles. Yeah, the Sumayan Canal staging area. The canal ascends through locks and gates and shadowed turrets to the summit of the surface. So we can gather information for a port report. The gates open and shut. The locks remain free from sabotage. If anywhere besides London is safe and all the undersea is here, the surface stations have an interest in keeping the way open. That's the most worthless port report in the entire game, in fact. It's worth 5 echoes and no fuel. Sun is dangerous to Neath dwellers like your crew, but the surface has its temptations. So we could have no more than 199 yearning burning, which is a menace. At 200, the game is over. And at over 100, it's really dangerous. But I don't actually think we have yearning burning at all. We do not. And you need 22 fuel and 2 supplies total. The engineers of the canal took advantage of existing caves and passages where they could. In ancient times, this was a passage to the underworld, they say. But still, the labor must have been staggering. The story goes that the masters of the bazaar lent their arts and allies to the task. The surface stations play down the fact. Certainly some of the tunnels look blasted or tunneled, others look dissolved. Stone pigs, the stoker whispers. Stone pigs. And you lose 25 terror from going to the surface, which is amazing. Avernus. The canal emerges in a little lake called Avernus. A warm breeze ruffles blue waters. You and your crew shelter like vampires from the light, with awning curtains, broad-brimmed hats, poplars, birdsong, the warmth of the companion sun. So, open your mirror box. This gives us one sunlight-filled mirror catch box. The box will remain filled with light until it's opened, even underground. They do it with mirrors. These are super valuable. You'll see in a bit. We could return below, but there's no point. The real point of getting up here, unless you're just doing mirror catch box runs, is to go to Naples. The very last stretch of the canal runs overland to the bay by Bacoli. Easy run down the Taharian coast to Naples. It cost 1 more fuel, we lost 1 crew, that does happen a lot, and we lost all our terror. The vast expanse of the surface, without familiar echoes, your engine sounds strangely quiet. Your crew watches the white-walled farmhouses slip by. I could live here, one muses. Over there, grow olives or something. Raise a family. Oh, I come over a bit funny. Just gonna sit down for a moment. Clutch the deck. His eyes roll back to his head, and last long sighing breath goes out of him. Surface is restful, but your crew may die here. The longer you spend up here, the more may die. This includes you. Even by night, the port of Naples is alive with shouts and laughter and work songs. The roar of engines, brick warehouses loom over by dazzled bay. By day, you stride to stay below decks. The sun hits like a hammer, and the wind always seems to come straight from the struggling sewers of the slums. Buy a train ticket to Vienna. Parabola linen crumbles in sunlight. The mushroom wines of the Neath are not kindly received in the wine shops of Italy and France. Prisoner's honey loses all its virtue. With the coffee houses of Vienna, dark drop coffee is the new sensation. It's not so far by train. You could travel by night. We are going to do that. It cost us 10 echoes. Revolution is in the air. We have moved to a new area. Rome, Florence, Venice. Sleeping countryside curls around you under the night sky, so like and so unlike the Neath. At Uldine, things go wrong, and they cut through the Sylvania. Vienna, the station alive with soot and shouting, the station officials with their whistles, their official brass buttons. The capital of the dual monarchy has seen better days. The palaces still glitter, but the mood is uneasy. Every third wall seems daubed with graffiti, only rarely in German. Unity or death, and remember London, and the liberation of the night. Radical elements have taken to smashing the gas lamps with flung stones. At least that means it's decently dark at night. Establish a business relationship. This is why we're here. The proud and glittering Café Festral is long been the center of intellectual life, but its coffee is deteriorated in quality. Offer a sample to the melancholic proprietor. Proprietor's sorrowful expression vanishes. His eyebrows bristle. Even his ears prick up. My friend, this is extraordinary. What flavor do I detect? Cinnamon? Jasmine? Is that bat guano? The vitality of this substance. The energy. His enthusiasm displays abruptly. Yes, I know. Yes, I suppose it will do. I'll pay you 80 kronen, whatever it is that your peculiar subterranean currency, for every sack you bring me. Perhaps it will do this poor place some good. We gain 80 echoes. And that was for one sack, and we're going to deliver the rest. Gas lamps glow, waiters swoop, chess players bunch over their tables. The melancholic proprietor looks up from his mustache wax. "Ha, he says gloomily. My only remaining friend. I'm glad you're not dead yet." The black blood of Thestral. Each day, the proprietor waves at the bustling blaze of the cafe. We draw a little nearer to bankruptcy. Your coffee helps delay the demise, if only by a week or two. I am grateful, I suppose. Here, this is all I can afford to pay you. 720 echoes! There are better ports to get coffee from. The best is the Iron Republic, which we will be seeing shortly. But Cape Cornelian, where you can do the Submariner stuff, also has cheap coffee. We might go that route, we might not. This ship doesn't have a lot of cargo, so I'm probably not going to do a lot of coffee runs. Psst, friend, strike a blow for freedom, will you? The fidgety agitator beseeches you to take supplies below to London for the cause of the revolution. We're going to do this. We are not going to finish this until we are ready to leave. But we'll do the first one since we're up here. Our sisters and brothers below are performing experiments in light. For you know, the liberation. The agitator clasped her shoulder. These are hard to find in the Neath, so hard. You'll be advancing cause by months. Please, freedom from all tyrants. Favors Calendar Council. Quality is 1. Calendar Council is the rebellion. And we have 1 supplies for the work. We could report him. We're not going to, though. I return to Naples. Fall asleep in a carriage with 2 gossiping bankers. Wake with your head on a snoring soldier's shoulder. Fortunately, he doesn't seem to have noticed. Mena Express. The 8 o'clock train is less crowded, but dangerously exposed to sunlight. Besides, you have your return ticket. So we're done. We are going to share news from below. A silent empress in a shuttered palace, road merchant prince's inspired bazaar, serpents hiding in mirrors. No one believes a word, but you get a lot of dinner invitations and a number of gifts. Your stories are serialized in the worst kind of magazine. A well-wisher sends you coal. 2 supplies, 2 fuel. No longer recent news. We now have 1 intriguing snippet. Awesome. Supplies, by the way, are really cheap up here. 5 echoes for 1 supply, so I am going to buy a few of these. Oh, but we lost a crew, so I am done. The bloody glory of the sunset, gulls crying above the foreland, Sirocco rising, smudging the smoke of your engines across the dusty roads. Have you survived another day? We're now in Avernus, and we're going to return below. The sky is blue hot metal, cicadas buzz like a headache. No place for an honest sailor. You need 10 fuel and 2 supplies return below. If you have insufficient, you'll be trapped here on the surface. So we have 13 fuel and 1 supply, so we're good. Down in the dark and quiet, no bird song, no surface wars, no raucous peasants. Still water, the glint of eyes. So we made our first trip to the surface. Now, we can buy fuel here. I think between the fuel and supplies we've got, we have enough. And we are a little low on crew, but we also have absolutely zero terror, which is fantastic. We are going to continue to sail south. We have more of the world we would like to see. I'm going to keep the light off because terror. I actually need to get some terror up. And going to the surface has basically eliminated all of my terror. The other reason to keep the light off is there are ships in this part of the world that are incredibly dangerous. Now, with our veils, our beautiful 75 veils, we're actually pretty okay. It's very hard for ships to spot us with our light off. There are ways to improve your veils and mirrors, and veils and mirrors at the same time, though those are very expensive. Let's see if we can get this discovered. Come on. Go ahead. Adam's Doom? Adam's Doom. Thought it was. I think it's always there. I've never run into the center of a whirlpool. I imagine it would be game over. So we're not going to do that. That is a Clayman rebel ship, I think. We are not going to bother with that at all. And we're going to head on in here to the port. This is the Iron Republic. Factory engines roar like false lions. Blood thunders in the dock pipes. Crimson lightning skitters across the deck. Leaps to the rails, curls her like a cat. Sea is reflected in glassy, calm harbor water. Citizens there have the head of dogs and serpents. Hell has brought freedom to the Iron Republic. Freedom from all laws, even those of nature. We can let them ashore. Probably will increase your terror. Perhaps something else horrible will happen. We're not gonna do this. The Parliament of Flies is currently open. We can compile a port report. We're gonna do that. We have lost 1 hearts. I don't really care. States of the Republic are overwhelming. This is desire for years. This is a hatred for fountains. Here is an emotion that can only be expressed mathematically. Now you're awash with nostalgia for the hatching of the egg. Write it down. Write it all down. Perhaps you'll be rid of it. So we had a port report. You can lose or gain stats doing these. Usually you lose them. Parliament of Flies is open for business. We've gained 1 Tale of Terror. And we've gained 1 Memory of Distant Shore. So I think it's worth it. Hearts and pages are the most common to lose, and those are the 2 stats I care about the least. We're buying fuel. We have lots of room for fuel. We are going to buy a lot of fuel. Now note, supplies are not on that list. But we actually have a lot of supplies. 6 is actually a pretty good amount. However, if we go here, we can click this button here. Market of Hunger with its spires and sigils. It's a parody of the Bazaar. Today flies fill its arcade. Buzz buzz. 1 terror, wary. This opens up the House of Pleasures. You can buy parabola linen for fairly cheap here. You can still buy fuel. You could sell Scintillac and you could sell romantic literature, but I have no particular way to do that. And you can get a Dread Surmise. This is the only way to get a Dread Surmise. And it's useful for certain quests. However, it requires 9 steering enigmas, which are very hard to get. Other than that, I think we're done here. We are going to continue on our journey. We have not explored this side of the waters at all, so we're going to go on quite a little journey. Our next stop will actually be towards the Grand Geode. Maybe. You are a Republican Dreadnought. I don't think you're going to attack me. Phew. Dreadnought's going to destroy us. We do not stand a chance against a Dreadnought. It has aft weapons, so it's much harder to avoid getting shot by them. We've discovered Castle Clare. Ah, okay. We're, Hello? Oh. There's a little bit of lag right there. I'm surprised. And continue down this way. What we're looking for should be fairly close. There it is, the Grand Geode. It is, in fact, a geode. It is a very strange place. Flash that island real quick just to light it up. You do not want to mess with those. Those things suck. They're probably the hardest ship in the game to fight. Naval base with the Royal Navy's emblems curiously amended. Efficient, bright-eyed women and men work briskly everywhere you look. They are singing hymns with unfamiliar words. Hard-faced Royal Marines, which watch you carefully, barring into the geode's heart. Plaque by the docks has been defaced with orange paint. You can still make out the original inscription. Station 5, Adjunct. Let's speak to somebody with an authority. Commodore may be able to give you a few minutes. Commodore shakes your hand warmly. He's a handsome, open-faced fellow in immaculate Navy uniform. His office is equally handsome. It overlooks the glittering interior crystal cliff. It must be as well lit as any study underneath. He deflects questions about the purpose of the installation, classified, you know, but smilingly offers you tea, biscuits, and mineralogical anecdotes. Biscuits are good, but the anecdotes rather blend one into the next. You find yourself nodding and then suddenly jerk awake. The Commodore is smiling. Your cup is empty. You feel well, very well, a little euphoric even. Come back soon, he says softly. Lose 5 terror, gain a memory of distant shore. Now have memoirs, sunstroke. Okay, light, it's pretty. So you do gain a little bit of light poisoning. We can engage the Carnelian exile. We're not going to do this for a very long time. Increase mirrors and pages, which our current one is mirrors and veils, which I prefer more. So let's compile a port report. Take discreet notes. The Marines are watching. Kind of a interesting one. The Grand Geode is an interesting place, but one we're unlikely to spend much time in anytime soon. So there are some places in the middle of the Neath that we haven't explored yet. In particular, Mangrove College and the like. However, they're not on my list of places that are particularly important to visit. I'm actually going to focus more on getting the southern coastline explored. Kind of go in this general area, though we do eventually want to end up at Gator's Morn. And I think that's primarily where I want to end up. But there is a place I want to visit over here. That may take some time, though. And we're going to go ahead and turn off the light. We should actually be fairly close to Adams Way. Not Adams Way. Port Carnelian. Where we could start our submarine jaunts. Quite a big settlement here, too, if you notice. Kind of the southern outreach of the British Empire in the Neath, as it were. We got our something awaits us. Very nice. Those are bad. We're going to have to swing north anyway, because I don't want to deal with those. Port Carnelian. London's first undersea colony sweats under a blanket of southern heat. To the right of the dock, the sapphire mines yawn. To the left, the governor's house stands prim as an Eldrick mansion. Behind lies the jungle, ghostly white and violet. This is a submarine quest. We're not going to worry about it. You could reduce terror by visiting the Imperial Tea House. It costs 20 echoes. I see no need to waste the money. Our terror is only 8. Call the Heartcross House, where the government administers distant collectivist Majesty's Empire. Talk to the Tiger at the Blue Bazaar. Those Cossades are eloquent, placid, and acerbic most of the time. Call in the room of the bookshop. Defless of the Khanate were expelled from Port Carnelian following the Galata incident. Only one remains behind. Not in any official capacity, you understand. We could pan for sapphires, which is an irons challenge, and we have awful irons. And we could set up a spy network here, but we can't do it yet for reasons. So mostly, we're just going to call on the Governor's Mansion. Governor is very, very busy. Attaché offers you a bowl of sugared puffballs and explains the work the governor does among the natives. Got to keep them happy. What? They are. After all, they are tigers. Literally, I believe. They are literally tigers. Here we could go to the shops. We could go to the Sapphire Exchange, where we could buy sapphires or a mountain sherd. Do not buy a mountain sherd. This is where you can get cheaper coffee if you want to turn more profit in your runs to the surface. It's quite a jaunt, though, so unless you've got a fairly large ship, like the actual merchant vessel, I don't recommend it. However, I'm going to get back up to 15 and 7. You can buy a Solace Fruit here too, but you don't. It only sells for 50. It costs 250. There's very little reason to do that. There are easier ways to get it, and the Blue Prophets over there, they can have their fun. We're going to go north, well away from them. Oh. Oh, this is interesting. We have two vortexes right next to each other. We can probably thread this needle fairly well, though, so I'm not too worried about it. They're not that close together. Yeah, the Blue Prophets are nasty. I see no great reason to fight them. They have 400 health, and we don't have a flensing gun, which is fairly ineffective then against... Oh, hi, Big Crab. What do we have here? I don't know. Oh, Mycegelia. We're near the Udder Shroom. That's actually not a bad place to have the Udder Shroom, because we're going to need to do a quest here at some point, which is going to require us to bring prisoners, furcative prisoners honey here. So that's actually pretty useful. So I'm glad I found the Udder Shroom. Climb the fungal ladders to its summit. Shaggy, suspicious villagers scratch a living here, amidst endless clouds of spores and scurrying mobs of plant-animal hybrids. None of them ever leave. Monsters, one explains darkly. Z full of monsters. Let's go ahead and... You could trade... Oh, right. You could trade a strange catch for a live specimen here, which is actually good. I need to remember that that's there. We can trade honey for Blummigans. We'll get into this later. Hospitable, not exactly, but they usually don't chase you off with sticks, and they usually let you sit behind their mildew-smelling fire. Udder Shroom releases spores according to its own inscrutable schedule. Today the air is soupy thick. They coat your hair, they clog your throat, they gather like sleep in the corners of your eyes. Conversation with the Shroomers is impossibly hard. Return to the ship where you find a tiny purple mushroom growing already in your ear. Gain one terror and one tale of terror. And gather intelligence. The villagers live a shabby but sufficient life. The Udder Shroom provides. They are secretive, taciturn, incurious. Ships rarely visit. And there are no shops in the Udder Shroom, so keep that in mind. Awesome, though, because we just have to go from here to here to get Blummigans. And we do need to get 7 of those to do a part of the quest. Awesome. We're progressing fairly nicely in that regard. There's a raiding ship right there. I would like to just leave it alone, honestly. And we need to go east, because north is just Demo Island, however it's pronounced, and no real need to go that way. I don't need to visit Adam's Way for my current plans, so I'm probably not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to yet. I kind of have to keep in mind where we can and cannot buy fuel. Fortunately, we have enough money that I'm not worried about the actual cost. As long as we have more than 1,000 when we reach Gator's Morn, we're fine. And, yeah. The Blue Prophets kind of kept us away from where we wanted to go, so we're just going to go straight east, basically. And we haven't entered a new tile yet, so I'm not worried about it. You'll know you've entered them when you see it pop up here. It'll give you a note. Oh. Oh. Fathom King's Hold? Fathom King's Hold. This is where you can get drowning pearls fairly easily. Not sure I'd call it that. We'll go here. It's an interesting place at the very least. Lorca's Port, named for the most enterprising of drownies. Phosphor cells burn green. Somewhere below the king awaits. Like an iceberg, like a bizarre master scheme, like the Neath itself, most of the hold is invisible. You only see a tiny portion of sculpted coral. The rest waits below the surface, the Fathom King's bone rooms and aquaria, his pearl snares and dining chambers. Descend to an audience with the Fathom King. The Fathom King is the lord of drownies, those dead who won't stop swimming. By some accounts, he is the lord of all who die at sea. Bring him a story to tickle his curiosity. Well, let's do it. We've got plenty of these stories. The porter has a skin of shark. She has a drowned woman's eyes. It is not permitted to look at her hands. Yes, she rasps. The story is sufficient. She opens the valves of pearl and permits you to pass in the conduit. This is the salt-blown heart of the hold. The Fathom King floats in his throne, a gem-starred bowl of sea stone, the size of a banqueting table. He's wearing a dressing gown of purple brocade, soaked dark with salt water. He leans his chin calmly on his hand. Beneath the surface of the water in his throne, his hidden regions pulse, constantly, incessantly. So, if we had Scintillac, we could get crew. We don't have Scintillac, we don't really need another crew. We could witness execution or ask a boon of the king. We don't know what we'll get. Two silent guards in thorned exoskeletons drag a babbling drowning forward. No, she shrieks, I am no friend of spiders. Never purchased silk. It was a gift. Your complexity. I have always been loyal. Or we could ask a boon of the king. Without the king a story gift, you may ask a gift in return. It's possible to get. Let's watch the execution. We gain 2 terror, we get a tale of terror, and it set our something awaits you to 100, which is nice if you've got something nearby that needs it, but we don't. The guards fling the drowning into the pool. The splash soaks the king, but his dignity is unmarred. The pulse of the pool intensifies with the threshing. The drowning sinks from view, and the waters grow thick and dark. Next, the king says peaceably. We could ask a boon of the king, but I think we're done here. Back at the dock, the air no longer smells of stone and copper. Life's familiar glow of false stars, not the piercing green of the eyes holds. We could do it again. We're not going to. We are going to compile a port report. Those great audience return dazed, awestruck. The king is not generous, but occasionally he is fair. And we are not going to allow shore leave. Don't do it. Do not allow shore leave here. It just gives you tons of terror. Absolute bucket loads of terror. At least that's the only result I've ever gotten. So, we're not going to be doing that. Well, now we know where the Fathom King's hold is. That's good to know. Did I not actually get the... Okay. I don't worry about it too much. Anyway, further east, we need to skip by this tile, and I think we want to go down on this tile over there. There are good things we can get by going to Adam's Way. Oh, we didn't use... Oh, right, because we saw the execution, we actually got something to await you. I could have seen the gift. I'll keep that in mind next time. I forgot about that. No worries. No worries. No great loss. Trust me. And it's already changed, and we haven't even left, and we just barely left the Fathom King's hold. So yeah. Ah, the Sea of Autumn. Awesome. We have found the Mangrove College, which is useful. There are things we can do here. Besides the fact that there are a lot of fragments we can get here, just by looking around. The wise and the wicked see sanctuary here, where the fruits are plenty and the woods wild. A steaming sprawl of parasynthetic vegetation and a village. Barely a village. Hold walls, roofs in disrepair, stilts leaning dangerously, must be assembled by drunks in a hurry. Dock carefully. We can engage baby's daughter. Increases Vale's iron and engine power. I'm gonna pick her up. We might as well. Hello, where are you headed? On second thoughts, I don't mind. Can I come aboard? Yes, I'm an engineer, but I'm an engineer in a hurry. Ooh, wait. No, I don't want to pick her up yet. Maybe next time. Mangrove College is famed for its scholars and philosophers. They have long abandoned civilized comforts for the life of the mind. Sometimes they want the civilized comfort back. I'll click this. No, but she's good. The Corsair's Forest, please. Gator's Born. No, I'm not in a hurry, but I think I might stay below decks. I don't carry the fee on me. You'll have to trust me for it when we arrive. Thank you. A pleasure. You'll pay. Don't worry. We can eat, drink, and be merry, or we could gather supplies. We could go into the Wisp Ways if we had supplies and foxfire candles. We could unpick the mysteries of their lands. This will convert 7 memories of distant shores and 77 fragments into a single secret. Or 77 fragments and 7 sea stories. We can compile a port report. We'll do that. They go to the Mangrove College, continue their untroubled and sedentary existence. New schools of philosophy are born and die like bubbles. Extraordinary poetries are written in water. The occasional retired pirate tries and fails to get invited to salons. That gives us a supply, which is nice. We've got lots of hold capacity, so why don't we go ahead and I'm going to gather supplies. You don't have time to stop and rest, but you can gather plenty of supplies. The college members will grumble, but there's enough to go around. Your crew strips a stretch of shoreline bare. I'll have burgered again by next week, no doubt. We gain 3 supplies. There are no shops here. Do keep that in mind. But now we've got lots of supplies, which could be useful for various things. They probably won't be, but they could be. Anyway, leaving our light off because we're not too worried about terror. We're going to head this way. Explore the rest of the islands. At this point, I definitely want to start a southern swing. We have another ship over there. I would like to leave it alone. Melting Isles is some distance to the north. I'm not too worried about getting that, though. Gatorsborn is back that way. We're going to go around here, up. Probably, actually, we're going to go down here and then up and skip this corner. Nothing good comes of that corner. Well, good things can. Oh, the Waxwinds. I see them. We kind of want to avoid those. They are a pain. They are an absolute pain. Once we're past them, though, we'll be fairly certain that we are about where we want to be vertically. The Autumn Islands are back to our northwest. They're part of the Hissafort from the lookout. The glim lamp at the front of the ship is sputtering and arcing, fizzing with blue light. Even as you watch, the blue fades, but it's not a good omen. Let's attempt to calm them. We've gained 1 terror. Measure rational speech does you no good. The crew know bad luck when they see it. Ah, well. I'm not that worried about it. Our terror is still pretty low. I think we're about at the edge of the Waxwind. We don't want to sail directly into it. It makes you go very slowly. Yeah, you can see there. That's the Waxwind. It gives you a reason to dodge northward to get across this part of the map. We should be getting very close to the place I want to get. Or we will dock, and I will call this apart. Eyes on deck. Matter of luck go either way. Army pig. Pigs will sailor size. It's always pigs. What's wrong with pigs? The boaster shakes a solemn head. Never ask about pigs at Z. You've gained 1 terror. Oh no, we were unlucky. I don't care. Our terror is still plenty in control. Southeast, Varchis. That's where we wanted to go. We are going to spend a little bit of time in Varchis. We'll actually be spending 2 full something awaits you here in a row, which will cause our terror to go up a little bit and our supplies to go down, but we have plenty of supplies. And we can actually purchase more fuel here at Varchis, if I recall correctly. But that will wait until next time, where we explore the City of Mirrors, I guess is the best way to describe it. Anyway, until our paths cross again, have fun and stay safe, everyone.